Okay, guys, time for some migrant crisis coverage. And this one is going to be very, very poignant for some of you. So just sit back and try not to get too angry with me. I told him not to go. Mother of drowned Salvadoran migrant laments. The mother of a Salvadoran man who drowned with his young daughter while trying to reach U.S. soil, becoming a global symbol of the perils of migration, said she urged her son not to leave, fearing danger would meet him on the long journey north. A harrowing photograph of Oscar Alberto Martinez and his toddler daughter Valeria, lying face down on the banks of the Rio Grande River between the United States and Mexico, ricocheted across social media this week and renewed debate in the United States about the plight of Central American migrants. Speaking with Reuters from her home in the central municipality of San Martin, Rosa Ramirez, Oscar's mother, cradled two of her granddaughter's most treasured toys, a blue-eyed baby doll and a stuffed purple monkey. Her friends have urged her to store her son and granddaughter's belongings, but she is not yet ready for that. Ever since he first told me that they wanted to go, I told him not to, Ramirez said. Recalling a conversation with her son, I had a feeling with such an ugly premonition as a mother, I sensed that something could happen. Despite his mother's pleas, Oscar and his family left El Salvador in April, hoping to find work in the United States and eventually buy a house, Ramirez said. This was his dream, a good fortune for his family. Or, not fortune, future. How do you get fortune out of future? God, I need to learn to read English. Exasperated by the wait to apply for asylum, the family attempted to swim to U.S. soil. On Sunday, an immigration official in the Mexican state of Tamaulipas said. Probably butchered that pronunciation, but anyway. Excuse me. Tanya Vanessa Avalos, Oscar's wife, survived, screaming, "Where's my husband?" as rescue workers at the riverbank carried away a stretcher covered with a white sheet. Video images show. Don't you just hate it when you get, like, a nasty feeling about something about to happen and then it actually happens? Don't you just hate that? It almost proves that that supernatural, like, psychic bullshit might actually be real. Mind you, I'm open to all sorts of ideas, but I need precedents to believe in it first. The photograph of Oscar and Valeria nestled beside her father with her arm draped around his neck drew comparisons to an iconic 2015 shot of Aylan Kurdi, a 3-year-old Syrian refugee whose body washed up on the shores of the Mediterranean. It's astonishing to see these photos, Ramirez said, reflecting on the image of her son and granddaughter. He never let her go. You can see how he protected her. The UN Refugee Agency said the photo from the U.S. border represents a failure to address the violence and desperation pushing people to take journeys of danger. Pope Francis expressed great sorrow upon viewing the image, said the Vatican, whose newspaper published the photograph on its front page. Many asylum seekers at the border flee their homes in Central America to escape high levels of criminal violence. Migrants such as Oscar and his daughter face long waits to apply for asylum at the United States' shared border with Mexico, as U.S. officials enforce a policy of metering, which limits the number of people who can apply each day. The system has contributed to growing numbers of migrants crossing the border illegally to hand themselves into authorities and ask for asylum. Mexican officials pledged to do more to halt the flow of migrants to the United States after U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to slap tariffs on the country's exports this month unless it tightened procedures. I understand that migration and issues like this are partly the individual's fault, largely the individual's fault for choosing to make that trip. But tell me, Mr. President, Mr. Donald Trump, how are your tariffs not going to make the situation over there worse? How, pray tell? How is that a solution? The bullying and harassment of your administration needs to stop. I'm not even kidding. I am literally sick and tired of it. The perils of the journey weighed heavily on Ramirez as Oscar and his young family set off for the United States. She said her primary concern is bringing their bodies back home. U.S. officials told Congress on Wednesday that they did not have adequate staffing and facilities to handle the surge of migrants seeking asylum made it harder to intercept drug smuggling and staff customs operations at port of entry. I understand keeping them out, but making deliberate attempts to modify another nation's economy through tariffs or sanctions, it's basically an act of war at this point. The way Trump does it, it's pretty much an act of war anymore. There's no two ways about that. And yet he won't be any more provocative with Iran or any other nation. But still, at this point it basically is an act of war. He's alienating our allies, he's making the situation down in South America worse. Trump's foreign policy is complete garbage. But, you know, it could be worse. He could be listening to Bolton and Pompeo. Thank God he's not. Anyway,